Over the past few months, a couple of questions that I have received quite frequently have to do with housing affordability in the face of rising home prices. When do they become unaffordable? And is it better that I just rent? Should I not even bother looking to purchase and should I just rent? Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team at eXp Realty. And today I want to unpack both of those for you and just try and share a few insights so that you can make the best decision for you. And if you like receiving updates and information like this, I invite you to go ahead and click that subscribe button. And also, if you hit that little bell, you'll get notified whenever I post a new video. So, first off, let's talk affordability. It's a hot topic. You know, home prices have been rising rapidly, as we know, and the pace of appreciation has only accelerated over the last few months. So, is it that homes are becoming unaffordable? Well, first thing I'd like to point out is that housing affordability and affordable housing are not the same thing. And why they're called something similar, I don't know. It's a little bit confusing, and I can understand that completely. But if we look at affordable housing, that's actually referring to entry level homes. And over the past several years, there's been a lack of entry level homes that have been built. So, what that actually means is for someone that's a first time buyer or someone that's entering the market, in certain markets, the entry level price point isn't affordable. It's too high. It could be three, four, $500,000, depending upon where you live. And so when we start talking about affordable housing, that's what's being referred to. It's the entry level availability of property in a given market. Now, when we look at housing affordability, that's different, right? That's looking at something completely different. And what housing affordability is referring to, it's looking at three different things. It's looking at mortgage rates, mortgage payments as a percentage of income, and home prices. When it looks at all of those things together, what it is trying to determine is for the median income in a given area, how affordable is the median home price? Now, as you know, that's going to vary all over the place. You have certain neighborhoods and communities where the incomes are higher, and what are those incomes in relation to the median home price? That's what's being referred to with regards to housing affordability. And believe it or not, if we look at the Housing Affordability Index that the National Association of Realtors produces, right now, as of today, homes are more affordable than only three other years dating all the way back to 1990. So, how is that possible? Well, again, what we're looking at here is the mortgage rate. There's a big indicator right there. We all know what mortgage rates have done. Housing payments as a percentage of income and home prices. Well, home prices have been rising. And right now, the Housing Affordability Index is sitting at a number of 174. So, what exactly does that mean? Well, 100 is considered the baseline, right? So, if you have a value of 100, that means that a family that makes the median income in a given area has enough income to qualify for a median priced home in that area, assuming the 20% down payment. Okay, so if you have an index of 100 and you're putting 20% down, you make enough money to buy the median priced home. The index today is sitting at 174, substantially higher. The only 3 years where the index was higher was 2011, 2012, 2013, the height of the distressed property market. Foreclosures and short sales dominated the market. You go all the way back to 1990 to give you an example, the index was 108. In 2006, it was 108. 2018, it was 148. In 2020, it was 168. And now here we are sitting at 174. So the question becomes, how is that even possible? Well, we already touched on it. It's mortgage rates. The mortgage rates have been way, way down. And while those rates continue to hover right around 3%, it means that homes technically are still affordable. Now, does that mean that they're affordable to everyone? No, it doesn't. Does that mean that there are certain people that if they own a current home, they still can't jump into the next home that they want because of the way prices have gone up? No, it doesn't mean that. It's just looking at basic averages. So I just want to point that out. But when you look at that question of whether should I buy or should I continue to rent or what are we looking at here, this is something that's interesting. When you look at the percentage of income that's spent on housing for renters compared to homeowners, for those making, 20, $30,000 a year, they actually spend 48% of their money on rent. People in that income bracket that have been able to buy, now again, I know that depends on area, but on average, they spend 38% of their income on rent. When you start getting into the 50,000 income range, percentage spent on rent is 34%. Average percentage spent on a mortgage is 24%. When you look at all incomes across the spectrum, renters on average spend 26% of their monthly income on rent payments. And homeowners right now are spending an average of 16%. So vastly, vastly different. You know, and with that in mind, I'd like to point out that yes, home prices have been going up substantially, but so have rents. They've been going up astronomically fast, and that has been growing all the way back to 1990, right? So the amount that is being asked for rent is jumping quite a bit. I know when I looked at the latest rent numbers here in Frisco, Texas, for someone looking for a 4-bedroom home, it was anywhere between 2,500 and 3,500 a month for just your average. So chances are, in many of those cases, you will have a mortgage payment lower than that. The other thing to point out with regards to purchasing is that assuming you do a 30-year fixed rate loan, the principal and interest portion of your payment is not going to change. It's fixed for 30 years. Yes, the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance can change, but the actual payment for the principal and interest is fixed. That doesn't happen with rent. In many cases, you sign a 1-year lease, 2 years if you're lucky, depending on the property. Privately owned home, you might get away with 3 years. But after that point in time, that rent is going to go up and it's going to continue to go up. But again, the best thing for you to do is whatever the best thing for you to do in your situation is. So if you're on the fence and you haven't been able, especially with limited inventory right now, to find the absolute perfect home for you, if I was in your shoes, let me tell you what I would do, because this is exactly what I did myself back in the early 90s. I couldn't find a home that was what I was looking for, that was exactly it. But what I did do is I knew I wanted to own. I knew I didn't want to pay rent anymore. I knew I didn't want to pay somebody else's mortgage, that I wanted to get in on the market myself. So I actually just bought a home. It wasn't my ideal home, but it worked, right? It got me into the market. And over time, the 10 years that I ended up owning that property, I built up quite a bit of equity. Funny thing is, I didn't know what I was doing back then. And when I bought that place, for the next 3 or 4 years, the value actually went down. And then it swung back around, and we made nice equity out of that place. And we were able to roll that equity into another house exactly where we wanted. So, if you can find a way, if you've been considering it, if you can find a way to get into the market, I would do it. I would try and get into the market right now. What about a crash? Okay. Go back to some of the previous videos over the past couple of months, and I share plenty of information on not just what me, but what many of the experts, industry experts, are saying about where the housing market is heading over the next several years. But bottom line, is anything like what we saw in 2007, 2008 on the horizon? No, it's honestly not. No one's crystal ball is completely clear, but we really have a supply problem right now. I mean, inventory is ridiculously low across the country. Demand stays high, and that's driving prices up. So if you can get into the market, I would. For those that are considering cashing out and then sitting and renting for 2 or 3 years, um, It's a personal choice, and I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. Again, most commonly I get asked, "What would you do?" I wouldn't do that, right? I would stay in the market. If you want to get as much insight or forewarning as you can, if anything's trying to change, again, stay tuned to what I put out. I research this pretty extensively, and I always just share the latest information as I receive it. But I would stay in the market. Your equity is only going to go up over the next 12 to 24 months. So hopefully that helps. If you have any other specific questions about your situation, or you want to talk through the affordability question a little bit more, please reach out. I'm always happy to help any way that I can and provide the information necessary that you can make the best decision for you and your family.